Stranger Things. Season 5 opens as we return to the night. But this time, we follow him deeper into the Upside Down. Youngwell hides inside Castle Byers, singing softly to calm himself. The tension steadily builds. Red mist drifts through the ruined fortress, before a Demogorgon smashes through the door. Will sprints through the forest, climbing a tree to escape. For a moment, it seems he might survive. But the monster scales the trunk. With terrifying speed, Will leaps to another tree, slips, and crashes unconscious to the ground. Instead of cutting to black, the scene continues. The Demogorgon drags Will into the Hawkins library, leaving his body in the center of the room, entangled in fleshy vines. Vecna steps from the shadows, revealing he found Will that night, and infected him while he was unconscious. He lifts Will with his tendrils, murmuring that their true journey can finally begin. This revelation overturns everything, showing Will's connection to the Upside Down is far deeper and more deliberate than ever imagined. The story shifts to November 1987. Over a year after the events of Season 4, Hawkins remains under military lockdown. Residents endure health checks and constant surveillance. The fissures in the ground are sealed beneath massive steel plates. Yet beneath them lie guarded military portals, used for covert operations. Across town, the Byers family temporarily moves in, with the Wheelers after the devastation. Holly becomes the first sign of something wrong. While clearing the table, she spots a dark figure outside the window, waving familiarly. Robin and Steve now work at the town's last functioning radio station. Robin's broadcast doubles as an encrypted channel to reconnect the scattered group. Through the airwaves, we quickly grasp Hawkins' situation. Students remain isolated at Hawkins High. Dustin still wears his old Hellfire shirt, despite hostility from classmates, who blame the group for last season's disaster. A bully rips Dustin's shirt, until Lucas intervenes. Dustin refuses to hide, insisting Eddie wouldn't want them to pretend the past never happened. Grief isolates him more than ever. Meanwhile, Eleven secretly trains in the woods with Hopper and Joyce, destroying pumpkin-shaped targets. During timed obstacle drills, Hopper urges caution, wanting her to avoid danger. He pushes sensory deprivation methods, instead of entering the Upside Down directly, unaware that Eleven has already qualified. Hopper secretly delays her involvement, fearing she'll rush back into battle, before knowing Vecna's next move. Beyond the quarantine wall, Murray sneaks weapons inside Hawkins, posing as a delivery driver. As tension rises, he warns Nancy and the others that the military plans a massive purge, using flamethrowers to force open portals. The group discusses a new code name for Upside Down operations. Hopper attends these briefings covertly, gathering intel through military-controlled gates. Vecna hasn't been seen since the Creel house battle, but Nancy and Will believe he survived, especially as Will still senses faint echoes of him. Will's connection grows stronger by day. He freezes in a school hallway, dizzy from a spinning sky only he can see. He hides it, but Mike suspects Vecna is closing in. Holly's story grows stranger. At recess, she talks to someone she calls Wasset. To teachers, she's speaking to thin air. She claims her invisible friend protects her from child-eating monsters. Back with 11, Hopper and Joyce debate holding her back. Joyce wants 11 involved, while Hopper fears losing her again. That evening, Mike picks Holly up from school, comforting her with a toy figurine that opens portals between dimensions in the game. The climax begins. The group prepares for nightfall. Dustin visits Eddie's grave, only to find it vandalized again. Seeing real blood, bullies ambush and brutally beat him. Dustin's fate remains uncertain. His last shot shows him being kicked, as Lucas desperately radios. Meanwhile, Robin kisses Vicky. Unaware Will witnesses it. The moment rattles him. He flees in confusion. The military mobilizes for incineration. Convoys roll toward Upside Down portals. Jonathan and Steve monitor Hopper's signal. Everyone gathers at the station. On the mission, 11 tells Mike she hopes for a happy ending. Mike assures her they'll win. Hopper moves into position, while Joyce anxiously waits topside. He slips into a hidden bunker, crawls through tunnels, and emerges inside an abandoned radio shop near the base. From there, he climbs into a supply truck, passing checkpoints, heading toward a sealed fissure. leading straight into the Upside Down. Back in Hawkins, school ends and the town grows eerily quiet. Holly sits alone, clutching the toy Mike gave her, as her parents argue downstairs. 15100 will visit someone still in a coma, confessing the strange feelings have returned, like something tugging at the back of his mind. Meanwhile, Lucas plays music close to Max's ear, trying to keep her anchored to the real world. Jonathan and Nancy finalize their recon plan. The military deploys near the fissure. 4 vehicles enter, including the one Hopper is hiding in. The gates close behind them, trapping Hopper inside the Upside Down, with no immediate escape. Jonathan tracks Hopper's signal from the radio van. At first, everything seems normal, but the convoy suddenly stops. Over the radio, Hopper confirms trouble. Before he can explain, Will collapses, overwhelmed by a violent psychic backlash. His neck stiffens. His senses distort as the Upside Down floods his mind. Through Will's vision, we see why the convoy stopped. A Demogorgon leaps onto the roof of a truck and tears soldiers apart with terrifying speed. Hopper watches it yank the driver from the window, sending the convoy into chaos. A vehicle crashes, and Hopper bolts into the Upside Down forest. The creature stalking nearby, his radio cuts out, leaving those outside without contact. Joyce tends to Will as he convulses on the floor. When he wakes, Will gasps that the Demogorgon is coming, not randomly, but straight for the Wheeler house. Inside the Wheeler home, Karen pours wine, while Ted lazily practices golf outside. Unaware the nightmare is approaching, Holly cries in bed, clutching her necklace. The floor beneath her begins to ripple, with the same pattern seen beneath Chrissy last season. But this time, it isn't Vecna, it's a physical tear between worlds. Holly bolts from her room into the bathroom, where Karen is about to step into the tub. Karen tries to calm her daughter, but Holly and the flickering lights tell another story. The Demogorgon smashes through the bathroom door. Karen pulls Holly underwater, trying to keep them still. The creature creeps closer. Ted hears the lights flicker and comes to investigate. His shout distracts the monster, long enough for Karen and Holly to surface for air. Ted swings a golf club at it, but is hurled through a wall. Karen and Holly flee downstairs. Another portal opens in the kitchen. Karen falls. Holly turns back to help. As the creature enters the room, Karen smashes a wine bottle and stabs it repeatedly into the monster. Nancy and 11 arrive, following a trail of blood. They find Karen badly wounded on the floor. She manages to whisper one word, Holly. The scene cuts. The Demogorgon grabs Holly and drags her into the Upside Down. 11 dives through the portal after her. Nancy calls for help. Karen and Ted are rushed to the hospital. At the hospital, Mike apologizes to Nancy for arriving too late. Nancy says they waited too long to warn their parents, or to get them out of Hawkins. Mike is stunned to learn Vecna targeted Holly, but Nancy says it matches the vision he once showed her. In it, Holly and their parents all died. Now, it feels like a ticking clock. Lucas objects, arguing Vecna never holds back when punishing victims. If he wanted to torture Nancy, he would have attacked them directly. Instead, the pattern mirrors Will's abduction. Lucas notes today is November 3rd, while Will vanished on November 6th. He refuses to believe that's coincidence. They saved Will once. They can save Holly, especially with 11 already inside. Military investigators begin suspecting 11's involvement in the attack. Meanwhile, 11 tracks the Demogorgon in the Upside Down. The creature is wounded. Hearing branches crack, she hurls an approaching figure, only to realize it's Hopper. 11 quickly explains, and continues the pursuit. Hopper, still injured from earlier, struggles to keep up. Back at the station, Joyce asks Will what he's sensing. He says this vision is stronger than ever, as though he's inside the creature's mind, seeing and thinking exactly like it. Joyce asks why it targeted the Wheeler house, but Will can't remember. All he knows is the connection is back, stronger. Joyce reminds him the link was severed, but Will disagrees. He says he never truly felt it end, since the day he was taken. Something inside him changed. The only time he felt free of Vecna was while living in California. Now, that presence is closer than ever. Robin overhears. She suggests Will may function like an antenna, receiving Vecna's signal when he's near. He could transmit commands through mind flayer particles, like radio waves. Will believes that's how they can find Holly. Earlier today, he saw a vision in the woods. It made no sense then, but now he thinks it was Holly's point of view. Joyce won't let Will risk himself, but he refuses to abandon Holly. Steve and Jonathan wait in the radio van to recharge. Ted and Karen remain alive but critical. Ted is sedated while Karen undergoes surgery. Jonathan snaps, accusing Steve of trying to look important to impress her. Their mission is to find Eleven and Holly. Mid-argument, Dustin appears bruised and battered. He claims he fell off his bike. But Steve doesn't buy it. They argue. Steve demands Dustin admit he's being reckless. Dustin fires back, "Why was Holly taken?" An uneasy silence falls. While grabbing coffee at the hospital, Mike notices something. Lucas's talk of coincidence keeps echoing. Mike recalls Holly's story. She said Wassett warned her that bad people were coming the very day she vanished. The timing is too precise to ignore. Mike tells Nancy that if Holly wasn't imagining things, then Wassett knows why she was taken and where she is. The only person who understood Holly's talks was Karen, so Mike and Nancy try to reach her room. Despite hospital restrictions, in the Upside Down, Hopper fumes that Eleven came in without tunnels. He warns the military is hunting her. Eleven insists she acted on instinct. Rescuing Holly might be their only lead to Vecna. She notices Hopper's wounds and cleans and bandages them. Hopper admits he fears losing her again and makes her promise to listen. They push onward until reaching a massive wall. Beyond it, Eleven finds Holly's shoe and realizes the Demogorgon dragged her through. That's why she can't sense Holly. Back in Hawkins, the military reviews cameras around the Wheeler house and nearby roads. An officer zooms in on footage showing Eleven riding with Nancy the night before. The image confirms suspicions. Eleven has been back for some time and is likely tied to the attack. The footage is sent to Dr. K, who's informed Eleven entered the Upside Down. At the hospital, Lucas stays by Max, telling her everything. The new war has begun and the group is divided. He begs her not to give up, saying they can't win without her, praying for any sign she's still there. He holds her hand as the song plays. Robin pulls Will aside to test a theory. They return to where he had his vision earlier, but sense nothing, so they go deeper into the woods. Robin asks if Will visited the hospital yesterday. She thought she saw him. She explains Vicky is just a close friend and hopes no one noticed anything. Will reassures her he didn't. They reach a structure made of debris. Will remembers children laughing. The sky spins, he runs ahead. Robin chases after him. 3 parallel scenes unfold. Will and Robin in the woods. Mike and Nancy at the hospital. And Holly with Wassett in the Upside Down, disguised as patients and volunteers. Mike and Nancy reach Karen's room. Karen is awake but can't speak. Nancy asks if she can write. Karen nods. She writes Holly's name. Nancy says Holly is missing, and they believe someone knows where she is. Karen hurriedly writes Wassett, describing what Holly told her. Cut back. Will and Robin reach Holly's school. Will sees the carousel and realizes the vision wasn't from the Demogorgon. It was Holly's. The spinning sky was her view. Lying on the ride, he wasn't inside the monster. He was inside Vecna's at the hospital. Karen keeps writing. A tall man in a hat, wearing a vest and pocket watch. She starts writing the name Henry. In a flashback, Holly stands with Wassett, who promises to save her family. He leads her to Creel House. Karen finishes writing Henry. Mike and Nancy understand. Wassett is Henry. Vecna. In the woods, Will senses Vecna surging. The truth hits all 3 scenes at once. Holly enters Creel House with him. The door shuts. In the real world, Hopper and Eleven try to break through the wall but fail. Resting while sharing jerky, they spot headlights racing toward them. Suddenly, a sonic device on a truck activates. It drops Eleven instantly. Her powers vanish. Hopper drags her behind a billboard. Soldiers sweep the area. Seeing nothing, they relax. One even urinates casually. When they reactivate the device, 11 screams, revealing them. Hopper fires back, dropping several soldiers. He runs out of ammo. No choice left. He uses grenades to wipe out the rest and destroy the emitter. When it shuts down, 11 regains strength, hurling a truck into the final soldier. In the real world, Joyce finds Will and Robin. She scolds Robin for taking him, but Will says it was his choice. He insists his visions worked. He saw Vecna and that Holly was just the beginning. Vecna plans to take more children. Will reveals Holly's classmates are next. Derek also saw Wasset. Will says they can use what they know to protect him, even if it's risky. They still don't know Vecna's plan, but Will refuses to stand by. Inside Creel House, 45100. Vecna in human form. He says her parents will join them once they are healed, and Derek will arrive soon. Holly looks uneasy, but Henry reassures her he will protect her. If Derek hurts her, he will send the boy back to face the monsters alone. Henry takes Holly outside and says he'll be gone all day. She can explore the house, but must never enter the woods. Before leaving, he tells her to check the mailbox. Holly opens it and finds a cassette tape and a music player. She beams with excitement. She runs inside, but freezes at the door. Something is watching her from the forest. Meanwhile, Steve and the kids gather at the station. Will explains he can see Vecna through Derek's mind. Nancy says Wasset is no harmless invention. Henry appeared with Holly to earn her trust. They'll follow the signal into the Upside Down to find Hopper and 11. The plan depends on tricking Vecna, making him think Derek is asleep. When the Demogorgon arrives, they'll attack it with a transmitter, and the creature will lead them to Vecna. To sedate the Turnbow family, they need someone they trust, someone who can drug them long enough to keep them safe. Erica is chosen, since she knew Derek's sister, so Mike and Lucas go to school to ask her, and she agrees immediately. Holly explores the Creel house and finds an old photo of Henry as a boy. When the doorbell rings, no one is there, but the mailbox flag is raised. Inside is a note that reads, "I need your help. Meet me at X." A map and compass are enclosed. She hesitates, remembering Henry's warning, but begins considering leaving anyway. Hopper and 11 steal a truck and disguise it. They capture a sergeant to interrogate him. Hopper wants to know when the next convoy leaves, so they can return to the real world. 11 demands the truth about the wall. They compromise. Hopper asks about the convoy. 11 scans his memory. At the hospital, Robin and Will search for sedatives when Robin spots Vicky and quickly hides. While waiting, Will asks how she knew Vicky liked her too. Robin says it wasn't one big moment, just a chain of small signs, brushed knees, glances, signals enough to know. Elsewhere, Murray brings supplies to set the trap. Steve lightens the car to make it faster. Dustin comes up with an idea. Turns Steve's prized car into a tracking vehicle. Nancy tests rounds designed to fire transmitters. Meanwhile, Murray's awkward chat with Jonathan reveals Jonathan plans to propose. The engagement ring is hidden in a cassette tape. Murray hands it back. In the Upside Down, Hopper questions the sergeant about Dr. K and the wall, but he refuses to talk. Hopper warns 11 she's inside his mind. As she digs deeper, she sees K entering a secret chamber inside the Upside Down lab. It's sealed with massive metal doors. The sergeant panics. Hopper demands what's inside. He swears he doesn't know. 11 forces the memory open until he passes out. She tells Hopper someone extremely powerful is imprisoned there. Someone like her. She believes Dr. K is hiding Vecna. Holly hesitates about following the map, clutching Mike's figurine as a sign. She packs supplies and enters the woods. Erica arrives at the Turnbow house with a cake and secretly drugs dinner. Everyone falls asleep except Tina, who skips dessert due to dieting. With no choice, Erica injects her. Once sedated, the family is blindfolded and tied safely. The group loads them into a truck and relocates them to safety. Joyce and Will share an apology. Joyce says sorry for missing Will's disappearance years ago when he was taken. Will apologizes for acting alone before telling her they agree from now on they must trust each other as stakes rise. In Hawkins, The others prepare the Turnbow house as bait. They position equipment for when Vecna sends the Demogorgon. Steve and Dustin monitor from the car. Lights flicker toward the house. Nancy and Jonathan wait inside. A portal opens above Derek's bedroom ceiling. The Demogorgon steps toward the bed, but finds a decoy. The group strikes. Lucas lures it downstairs. Nancy fires first. The transmitter round hits. The creature flees back through the gate. Nancy and Steve chase the signal. The signal vanishes, then returns. Dustin realizes it doubled back. At the warehouse, Derek wakes just as Will senses a shift. Vecna now knows where they are. The Demogorgon's sudden turn proves it. It's charging straight at them. Cut to. Holly's trail leads to a cliff. She finds a narrow crevice and calls Henry. But another figure appears. She bolts into the woods, hiding behind rocks as footsteps approach. The figure crouches. The camera reveals Max, alive and smiling. She greets Holly gently, bandages her scraped knee, and leads her to the cave she's been hiding in. Max explains. She wrote the note to lure Holly safely. She jokes about Mike's childhood hair dye, then drops a bombshell. They're inside a memory created by Henry, 60100. Then Max reveals a shocking truth. They are inside a memory created by Henry. A world of countless memories. Each victim Vecna killed opened a gate to the Upside Down. Max explains that when she was taken, Vecna opened the fourth gate, ultimately splitting Hawkins apart. Max recounts her near-death experience at the end of Season 4. She doesn't know how long she was dead, only that something was calling. When she woke, she was in the Rainbow Room, surrounded by dead children. 11 siblings. She walked through doors and briefly arrived in Hawkins in November 1959. 30 years earlier, she realized she was only an observer inside Henry's memories. Max says, as a prisoner, you have 3 choices: end your life, accept your fate, or find a way out. She chose the third door. She wandered the memory maze, sometimes lost, until she heard Running Up That Hill. The song guided her back. Music became a beacon, reminding her Lucas never gave up. She followed the sound through memories, including the day Henry cursed her. Max witnessed countless horrors, until she reached the fracture that hurt her. She saw a gate to her hospital bed, almost reconnecting with Lucas, before it slammed shut. Max finally reached a cave she felt safe in, a place Henry never dared enter, letting her claim it as refuge. When Holly appeared, Max realized the third door was open again. She forms a plan to get them both out of Henry's trap. But they need more time. Holly must return near Henry to keep the escape possible, since he hasn't realized yet. In the real world, Joyce tries to calm Derek, who insists Wassett told him everything about Will, and that adults are lying. Derek rebels and climbs onto the warehouse roof. Will senses danger, a creature charging toward the building. The Demogorgon bursts in, forcing Joyce to defend herself with an axe. She swings and it suddenly stops. It doesn't attack. That gives Steve time to stab the Demogorgon, sending it fleeing. It opens a rift and escapes into the Upside Down. Steve suggests driving through the tear to chase it, but crashes after crossing. Inside, they lose control. The Demogorgon leads them toward a cemetery. Dustin detects interference. Nancy and Jonathan warn him. Steve forces the car onward. Meanwhile, Hopper and 11 scout a military tower. Hopper wonders whether Vecna could still reach Holly if 11 lost her powers. Dustin radios that the wall inside the Upside Down forms a complete circle, with Hawkins' power plant at the center, the apparent origin point. 11 prepares to find Dr. K's hidden prisoner. They break into the lab. 11 distracts guards. While Hopper slips inside, they confront Dr. K, who tries to disable 11 with sound devices. Hopper is nearly strangled by tentacles as Dr. K calmly approaches. He asks what they know and tells Hopper to relax. Fear attracts the creature. 11 intervenes, stabbing K to distract him, buying Hopper time to recover and subdue him. Hopper urges 11 to run ahead while he handles what's behind the sealed door. But after a moment, Hopper emerges to find 11 still waiting. Together, they unlock a chamber and discover the prisoner isn't Vecna, but number 8, wired to a machine. Someone as strong as 11. Or possibly stronger. As Hopper and 11 face the lab, the military begins rounding up children. Orders send them to the base, believing 11 is kidnapping them. Meanwhile, Will sketches the terrifying vision he saw. Holly and 3 other children trapped on spikes, tendrils forced into their mouths. Will senses urgency. Vecna plans to take more. There are 12 pillars. 4 are filled. That leaves 8 children in danger. The group forms a rescue plan, using the tunnel system. Mike assigns Derek to secretly gather intel and guide kids to safety. Derek scouts the base, locating the bathroom hub, then questions children about Wassett. Eventually, a girl links Wassett to Henry, pushing the mission forward. The team digs through tunnels toward the captive kids. During the crawl, Will and Robin share a pivotal talk. Robin reflects on an old crush, 75100, realizing she always searched for answers outside herself, when the truth was within. She explains that only by facing fear and accepting who she is could she finally feel free. Her words strike Will deeply. As Mike and the others dig, they accidentally hit a pipe, forcing them to change route. Joe signals Derek to begin evacuating the kids through the tunnels. Some children reach Murray's truck safely, but one student, who knew nothing about Wassett, spots Mike and Will and alerts the guards. As a result, the military arrests Will, Mike, Derek, and Joyce. But suddenly, the ground trembles. Soldiers switch to combat mode. Creatures burst from the hellgates. Gunfire rains down, but it barely slows them. They slaughter troops mercilessly. As seconds tick by, more Demogorgons tear through portals. They attack the soldiers and turn toward Lucas's group. Then Vecna emerges from a gate, stronger than ever. Flamethrowers barely faze him. Vecna displays overwhelming power, hurling soldiers and vehicles with ease. Joyce lunges to protect Will, but Vecna flings her aside. He stares at Will and lifts him with his mind. Vecna outlines his plan to remake the world using Hawkins' children, their young bodies and minds easy to break. He recalls Will as his first test subject, proof of what was possible. But Will is no longer his target. Vecna drops him and retreats to the Upside Down, having achieved his purpose. After Vecna vanishes, the Demogorgons keep hunting the others. In the chaos, as loved ones face death, Will has a moment of clarity, inspired by Robin's advice to accept himself and stop fearing his inner strength. Memories flood back. His childhood, Mike, their games. Emotion surges within him. Will's power erupts in a way reminiscent of Vecna. Nearby Demogorgons are lifted. Even distant ones drag skyward. He bends them with his mind, snapping them instantly. The scene mirrors Vecna's brutality. Will has unlocked his hidden strength. He collapses from exhaustion, blood trickling from his nose, just like 11 after using her powers. This moment confirms Will's unique bond to the Upside Down, revealing he may play a crucial role in the fight against Vecna. The 4th episode ends here.